1998, 2004, 7, and 10, with one of the longest records of service in the history of the House of Representatives. He served as chairman of two key committees, Committee on National Defense and Committee on Public Order. While serving as chairman of the Committee on Public Order and Security, he boldly spearheaded the investigation against former AFP Comptroller, retired Major General Carlos Garcia, on the AFP fund anomaly, which paved the way for the filing of charges before the Office of the Ombudsman and Court Martial. As a legislator, he had authored important laws such as the Philippine Coast Guard Law and the PNP Reform Law, among others. He is also the chairman and lead convener of the Movement and Alliance to Resist China's Aggression. As such, he is among the vanguard in the citizens' movement to fight for sovereign rights in our exclusive economic zone in the face of China's incursions and illegal presence in the Philippine West. Mr. Golez earned his master's degree in Business Administration from the University of the Philippines and his Bachelor of Science major in Mathematics and Operations Analysis from the United States Naval Academy at Annapolis, USA. He also took several courses in airborne and counterterrorism training in the USA. Let's all welcome Mr. Roilo Golez.
Thank you very much. I'd also like to thank the organizers of this forum for making me a part of it. Well, we were familiar with the South China Sea, but if we speak of the South China Sea, we cannot speak of it in isolation. We have to relate the South China Sea to the rest of the world. And we cannot just treat the South China Sea in isolation. We have to connect it with the rest of the world, particularly the Indo-Pacific area. And you can see here the South China Sea in relation to the Indian Ocean, the East China Sea, Japan, etc., etc. And this is the Malacca dilemma, which is very important in considering the power issues in the area. This is not just a South China Sea issue security situation. It is an Indo-Pacific security situation. My personal involvement in the South China Sea or Spratleys issue goes back a long way. I was there when we landed troops, supplies, and equipment in various islands in the Spratleys, 1971. I was the weapons officer. Here's a picture of our group there. The first time that the South China Sea became a central issue as far as external defense is concerned was the mischief reef issue of 1994. And this photo shows the original structure on stilts made by the Chinese. And when we complained, the Chinese said, don't worry about it. It's only temporary. That's only for Chinese fishermen. And the controversy quieted down. President Ferdinand Marcos, by virtue of Presidential Decree number 1596 issued on June 11, 1978, asserted that the islands are designated as the Kalayaan Island Group, comprising most of the Spratly Islands that are subject to the sovereignty of the Philippines. Scarborough Shoal became a very important issue on April 30, 1997, when Filipino naval ships prevented Chinese boats. It was a very different situation during that time. We prevented Chinese boats from approaching the shoal. On June 5 of that year, Secretary Domingo Siason of the Secretary of Foreign Affairs testified in front of the Committee on Foreign Relations of the United States Senate that the shoal was a new issue on overlapping claim between the Philippines and China. And then sometime in 1999, the Philippine Navy grounded two LSTs. The first one is BRP Sierra Madre in the Ayungin Shoal area, and the second one is BRP Benguet in the Scarborough Shoal area. The Chinese government complained we did not pull out the Sierra Madre, but for some reason we pulled out the BRP Benguet. on the eve of the arrival on official visit of the Chinese Premier Zhu Rongji to Manila. One wonders what would happen if we did not pull out the BRP Benguet from the Scarborough show. Mischief Reef. This was not discussed in the PGMA visit to China in 2001. I was there, I was present, we wanted to make it a part of the agenda, but the Chinese government said, let's talk about more pleasant things, let's talk about it some other time. And we were tied down, when I was National Security Advisor, we were tied down to various internal security concerns. May 1, 2001, attack on Malacanang, Abu Sayyaf, the Dos Palmas incident, and of course the 9/11 New York Twin Tower, and then Magdalo, July 27, 2003. Later, we found out about the JMSU, the Joint Marine Seismic Undertaking, which is a tripartite agreement between the Philippines, Vietnam, and China. This involved the survey of the undersea, the seabed of the South China Sea, most of which is inside the exclusive economic zone. And I posed a question, because this happened after my term as National Security Advisor. I was one of those who took it up in Congress to investigate the matter. My question is this: what secrets of the undersea, the seabed, and the subsoil were discovered by China during the survey and not disclosed to the Philippines and Vietnam? Republic Act 9522, I was the chairman of the technical working group, was passed by Congress, which defined the archipelagic baselines of the Philippines. But I'd like to say that when we were crafting this, there was a lot of interference on the part of the Department of Foreign Affairs, and we suspect that this was because of the pressure exerted by the Chinese government. And then 2012, China grabbed the Scarborough Shoal in April 2012. On December 7, 1999, 13 years before, I delivered a speech in Congress, and I said the target of China eventually is Scarborough Shoal. Not very many people believe me, but 13 years after, it happened. So China erected a barrier to the entrance of the shoal, and 2013, the start of the reclamations, and I'd like to make a very quick presentation here of the reclamation projects. Many people are very familiar with this, but just to show you how fast they've been moving. It took, if you look at the Manila Bay Reclamation Project, that has been ongoing for more than 20 years, but it covers only maybe not even 2,000 hectares. Now, in about 2 years' time, just to show you, this is Johnson South Reef, February 2013, it was just a dot, but in less than, in about 1 year, it's already a massive area. It's almost like a MOA complex reconstructed there. Hughes Reef, just a dot, and then after about 2 years, it's a big structure, complete with vertical buildings. Quarteron Reef, in 1 year's time, from practically underwater to a big area. This is a Gaben Reef, and of course, the most famous of the reclamation project, Fiery Cross Reef, practically underwater, August 2014. March 2015, we have a 3,000-meter runway, almost ready to be used. And that's going to be a game changer if it is activated. Subi Reef, another area with a very long runway, about 3,000 meters also. And of course, Mischief Reef, it used to be just a little dot here. Now you can see this big structure here. And if that is going to be completed, we are talking here of various facilities that can change the situation in the South China Sea, because they will have an airstrip, and the airstrips will be able to accommodate all sorts of military aircraft, fighters, bombers, UAVs that can be deployed there. It will have an operational reach for the aircraft, and China will be able to gain and extend their strategy of anti-access area denial, especially addressed to the carrier battle groups of the US Navy. Here's our sketch of what it can do if they have an operational base here. This is Mabini Reef. With a 1,000-mile radius of their J-11, they covered the entire Philippines, entire Borneo, and practically all of Vietnam. And look at the master plan here. It is better than our NAIA master plan. And they can accommodate big aircraft like this one, fire across reef, and a lot of analysts are also worried that they might position the dreaded Dongfeng 21D and extend its reach in order to drive farther away the carrier battle groups of the US Navy. And just to show you what are being analyzed now in terms of offense and in terms of defense. Of course, China is hoping that the design will work, that it can hit a moving target about 2,000 kilometers or 1,700 kilometers away, running at about 35 knots. On the other side, the US Navy is also hoping that their defense system will be able to neutralize the Dongfeng 21D. And this is how some people are simulating the situation.
The U.S. Navy believes China's Dongfeng 21D carrier killer missile has reached initial operating capability.
Oh, sorry.
The U.S. Navy believes China's Dongfeng 21D carrier killer missile has reached initial operating capability. According to Finland media, China would attack an American carrier with 3 salvos of the missile. The first would pierce the hull, start fires, and shut down the flight deck. The second would knock out the engines and be accompanied by air attacks. The third would sink the carrier. The Navy would seek to disable the 21D during all phases of its trajectory. Missile defense cruisers could shoot it down. Electronic warfare aircraft could jam it. The missile could also be tricked into thinking the carrier is somewhere it's not.
So that's the Dongfeng 21D. There is the design of the offense and there's the design of the defense. We don't know. It's been untested. We don't know what's going to work. What's also very worrisome is that there's a survey ship that was detected in the vicinity of Recto-Bank. And again, I delivered also a speech that they're also targeting Recto-Bank. You can see that this is Panganiban Reef, this is Ayungin Reef, and it is my considered opinion that the reason why they're really eyeing Ayungin Reef is in order for them to have a free route going to Recto-Bank and eventually the Scarborough Shoal. Recto-Bank is about 8,000 square kilometers. It's quite a big body of water. When I attended a conference in Japan of some strategic study groups, we all agreed that the objective of China in the South Chinese area is to establish the strategic triangle. The first point of the strategic triangle is already existing, Woody Island. The second point would be the current, the ongoing reclamation projects there. And eventually, once they complete this, the eventual target is Scarborough Shoal. So that when they have the strategic triangle, they'll have full control of the South China Sea. And this will evolve into a game changer as far as the first island chain is concerned. I think some of you are familiar with the first island chain. This is the defense line for China to defend the area, but at the same time, it's also the takeoff line in order to go all the way to the second island chain, which is as far as Guam. The first island chain goes all the way to Japan area up to the Brunei area. If China succeeds in pushing their defense line to the second island chain, the Philippines will fall under it. It will push out the 7th Fleet, and Japan is going to be very worried about the situation. And this is Scarborough Shoal. It is like a dagger aimed at the heartland of the Philippines. It's very close to our major defense and economic installations, Subic, Clark, of course, Metro Manila, and Calabarzon. We had the opportunity of listening to some Filipino fishermen in the Zambales area, and the Japan television was able to get a video of what actually had been happening in that area with the Chinese harassing our Filipino fishermen. It's a video from the Japanese television station.
FNN が独自入手した映像です。南シナ海のスカボロー礁で今年4月、中国当局の船がフィリピンの漁船団に高圧放水を執拗に浴びせ、船体や漁